Hello, my name is Delilah, and today we are doing a review for Breathe Into Me by Sarah Fox. So, as I said on my August wrap-up, I read this book in the month of August, and I read it after I read an excerpt for it on another website, and I decided, hey, why not? And I bought it. Now, this book is a bit different from the books that I usually read. This is a new adult romance book, and I usually read more in the scope of young adult and some kind of, fantasy or action adventure with romance sprinkled in. Or dystopian. We could just say dystopian. But yeah, this book is a little bit different, and so I got to experience my very first new adult book. So this book is about a girl named Lacey St. James. She lives in a very small town where rumors are always spreading and her reputation really isn't that good. So she's in a relationship with a guy who is not the best kind of guy that there is out there, and one night out on the town she meets a mysterious man named Everett, and he offers her a lot of things. Something that I really liked about this book was the setting. It was just perfectly set, and the author really didn't take too much time spending, each and every sentence describing perfectly the scene and setting it up. And I think that that worked really well for this book because it was simple yet memorable. Like, even weeks and weeks after I've read this book, I can still remember oh so clearly every single scene in this book. I remember what things looked like in my head, and I just think that's really good writing. And speaking of good writing, this book is written pretty well. I know I mentioned this on my blog, but another thing that I really like about this book is the overall message, and that is you gotta keep fighting. Things can get really bad, and they'll get super, super bad even if you're already down. People will kick you. They'll kick you. If you're down, they'll kick you. And it's just kind of a don't give up, there's light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. And I do really like that because, we're living in tough times. Everybody's always living in tough times. And it's always good to know that even if you don't have quite a good opinion of yourself, there's somebody out there who probably thinks the most of you. I don't want to say I don't like this book, and I don't want to say that this is a bad book. It's not. There are things that really bothered me. Yes. The first one is pretty much the cliches. There's a lot of cliches in this book, and I don't really blame the author. I mean, when you pick up a romance book, you kind of expect to read something cliche. But I wish that there were less of them, and I wish that the author took the time to really take those cliches. Like, a cliche is only a cliche because we've seen it before. Take that cliche, flip it on its head, or just find something new to do with it. And I feel like there were plenty of opportunities in this book that could be done where it just didn't happen. And I'm really sad about that because this story has a lot of potential. Something else that bothered me in this book was that the characters didn't really seem to be completely fleshed out. They kind of seemed like stereotypes that you would find in romance novels. So I guess kind of going along with the cliche thing, I just wish that the author had taken a little bit more time to really change the different stereotypes. You've got the battered and damaged girl, and then the knight in shining armor who just comes out of nowhere and happens to be amazing. And there's nothing wrong with that, but can we do something a little bit different with him? I mean, there's something she does that's a little different, but not that different. Yeah, there's a lot to discuss in this book as far as writing technique and, crafting good fiction. I think that this is one of those books that you just kind of have to pick apart a little bit so that you could get to the core of the issue. And to keep the review very short, I'm not going to be doing that. But needless to say, if you want to read about the constructs of a romance novel, right here, go ahead, read it, because it's gonna have every single thing you've seen in a romance novel in it, you know? I would recommend this book to people who love romance. I'm pretty hard on this book, but the truth is, this isn't really my cup of tea. This isn't something that I would read normally, and I think that has to be accounted for. If I was somebody who loved romance novels, I think I would easily be able to just kind of write off all the cliches and just kind of say, hey, you know, whatever. Or maybe it's because I want to be a writer and I'm learning about all the different things that it takes to be a good writer. Not saying that this is not written well. Maybe aspiring to be a writer has made me a little bit cynical of things, and I can account for that. I think anytime you try to become an insider into anything, it makes you cynical of what everybody else is doing. So I'm gonna say this book is for people who love romance and don't mind, you know, some of the tropes that go along with it, and it's probably for people who love all the new adult books. So for Breathe Into Me by Sarah Fox, I gave it 2 stars for my enjoyment of reading. It was easy and fast to read, so I had to give it stars for that, definitely. I took off stars because I just didn't feel connected enough to the story. I kind of found myself just kind of writing it off like, oh, that's cliche, oh, I saw that coming, ooh, that's predictable. And predictability is usually where I take stars off, and this story is very predictable in my personal opinion. This is all my personal opinion, don't hate me. I found it really predictable, and also this title, like, why is it called Breathe Into Me? I still don't get it. 2 stars for my enjoyment. I thought the setting was really good. I really enjoyed being in the story, if that makes sense. And for my pen rating, I give it 2 pens. I'm hoping by now that people realize that my pen ratings aren't necessarily a high or low kind of rating. It's more or less just, you know, these are things that I picked out, these are things that I didn't pick out, and the pen rating kind of goes along with that. I gave it 2 pens. A 2 pen rating is probably really good. It just means that the writing is average. I didn't find anything that I really wanted to pull out and digest and study and tell other authors that, you know, this is what you need to study in order to be a good writer. I didn't find anything like that in here, but on that same token, I didn't find anything that really was bad about the writing. It was written pretty well. So I gave it 2 pens, and I hope that that pen rating helps somebody. I hope you liked that review, and regardless of what I've said, I hope that if that book seems interesting to you, that you find the time to pick it up, because even if I didn't necessarily like it, that doesn't mean that you won't like it. It's a pretty well written book, like I said, so if you are interested, go ahead and pick it up. I won't be offended. In fact, I'll be like, yeah, good job you. I hope you liked this video. If you did, I hope that you like or comment and let me know what you're thinking. I'll have another video up for you next week. I think it's going to be another book review, and I'll see you then. Hope you're having a great day. Bye!